The contingencies.
All right.
Oh, nice.
You all join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Go ahead, Lo. I always run into you.
Yeah.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Yep, I'm in, Lo. We're everybody good? All right. Well, with that, we'll call the July 20th Select Board meeting of the town of Damariscotta to order. And we can get right to it here if everybody's ready.
Mhm.
All right. I think currently the minutes of July 6th, we're going to table those for time being.
I'll make a motion to table those.
All right. Thank you,
Second.
Josh. Lou seconds.
A second.
Okay. Much Lou, any discussion?
Yeah, I think we have
Those in-
a 20-minute discussion on this.
All those, all those in favor?
Evan's got time limit. You know.
We have, we got a unanimous there. All right. They are tabled. Okay, we have payroll warrant number 2.
I'll move payroll warrant number 2.
Thank you, Josh. A second, anybody?
Second.
Tom seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, moved along. We have AP warrant number 3.
I'll move AP warrant number 3.
Second.
Josh, Lou seconds that. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, move that one along. And then we have the fiscal year 22 AP number 76.
I'll move AP warrant 76.
All right, thank you, Josh. Want a second on that one?
A second.
All right, Andrew, thank you. And any discussion? All those in favor? All right, looks good. Move those along. Okay.
We found them down, Andrea.
Yep.
And they signed them as.
So, do you have any citizens'
We don't have
comments
a
or general
backlog.
correspondence on the town manager end on the town? Anything exciting?
None that I recall.
I don't see anybody in the audience this evening. And do we have any participants online there, Jeff? I see 2, but no hands up. All right.
Isabel.
So we can, yeah, it's just us, just one, okay. So we can move right along to town manager items. How's that sound?
Great.
Just got a draft of that.
Just, yeah, a little bit, won't be that much longer, but further on in the agenda, we'll hear from Isabel, who's our new planner. I don't think some of you might not have had a chance to meet her yet, so she's joined us virtually. She'll go over some of the considerations for the land use ordinance, some things that have come up that she's identified, and in some cases, things that had been started prior to her coming. The public gathering or march that we talked about last meeting, been worked that out, I think, with Chief Warlick. And at this moment, they're anticipating being able to utilize the sidewalks and then just cross at the crosswalk. So that'll minimize the need for an additional dedicated deputy or officer.
When currently, like with the Memorial Day parade and whatnot, how does that, is there a process for them? I don't know what the process has been previous to,
It's a great question.
like, well, yeah, yeah, okay. Sort of thing, it's just been done for so long that we,
Right.
yeah, okay. So, yeah, no, so that's good there.
And perhaps the difference that, with a holiday event where the town's kind of generally
It's a general
involved in
town,
it,
right, yeah.
versus kind of a,
Yeah.
issues or
Like a, yeah, an issue based or a-
requested based, requested event
Yeah.
of sorts.
So this current one is not going to require an extra
No.
police presence or
Do we
duty, so
sign
there's no cost incurred
Right.
at this point, yeah. 'Cause that's the only thing, like with the
That's,
Pumpkin Fest, they pay the, they get charged for that fee, so we make sure that.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So we, the only comment I have on that is, yeah, we'll look into a policy, because I think we're coming into a midterm that might create some issues and whatnot. There might be some more call for it. So as long as we have some kind of a plan going into it, get ahead of it.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Chief and I have already started looking at what other towns might have in place, and
great. Yeah.
I'm trying to pull some of those samples together for you.
Cool. Thank you, Andy.
At Kastner Creek, for the crossing, we have more data analysis that the state would like us to be able to run to be able to comply with the main coastal program, Coastwise program that we're trying to compete with. If we can get through that, there's perhaps access to funding is the is the expectation and hope. And so, that program, looking at alternatives and making sure that, we've taken an approach that takes into consideration other types of solutions for that flooding event or that crossing there. So it's about $10,000 for the additional analysis. It's with the person who's done the first tranche of analysis, Joe McLean. And I've just been trying to find a way to find some offsetting grant support or help to make
Dig
that
some money
happen.
up somewhere.
So,
Yeah.
I have had one successful call with someone and had a meeting scheduled this morning with another entity, but that didn't end up happening. So I had to follow up with them and try and get that before the week's over if I can. Okay, so let's see, the sewer line for the bathroom, the restroom in the parking lot. That was that small area that had an issue was repaired last Thursday. I sent a follow-up email when that happened, and the notes from the engineers are in the packets. That extent of what had been identified where the sag was, where the collection was happening, was an issue. Once we got down in there and digged, there was beyond that piece that had been exposed. There was also some perhaps other issues that were highlighted, entering and exiting the sewer manholes. So they took the time to fix the whole pitch while they were there.
Okay.
So it was no one company's fault in this case on that one. So
Multiple,
working with the engineers to figure out how we're going to
Avoid that.
make sure it's corrected so that the sewer district will accept it.
Right.
But
yeah.
also, make sure we're understanding who's going to be paying for what parts of where it went beyond the scope of what had been identified as Hagar's challenge.
So there's still some things they're trying to sort out before. Yeah. Does
Right.
it look like we're kind of on track for the sewer district to take it over?
I'm hoping the lines were inspected and cleaned on Monday. Monday. Leanna was able to get Vortex to come out and do that right away. And probably a report, I'm assuming sometime next week on that. So hopefully.
Yeah. As soon as we get it, run that right over and sign the paperwork. Awesome, Andy. Thank you.
As far as the work plan goes, just want to bring that up again. I did put in, I tried to go through and look at the FY22 goals. And so there's a kind of a spreadsheet in there of what I was seeing. And I just wanted just a chance for you to see that and check in if there's something that I didn't realize was completed or we think didn't get completed, just let me know so I can modify that and have that for you when you do your workshop. And just want to kind of circle back on a date when we want to try and lock something in. I think the last meeting was mentioned maybe in September. If it's a fiscal year work plan, we'd be 2 months into it at that point.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we want to try and do something in August or if September will be a better time.
I was trying to let you have 2 months to navigate before we
I'd say it's up to
really
you. Yeah.
loaded on.
Yeah. But it's up to you if you want to, we can, I don't have any problem with moving it up.
The second meeting.
Do the
in
second
August.
meeting,
That would work.
second meeting in August. So
The second meeting in August for a workshop.
this would be an annual goals workshop. Yeah.
And do you want that'll be just part of the regular meeting? Just we'll do that at the end or the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just added on as a work. Yeah. The
Yeah,
workshop
the
at the end.
usually.
Yeah.
What is that? August what?
Third Wednesday.
Yeah. See the calendar. Got it.
Maybe. We haven't set the date.
We still, we do have to officially.
No, it will be.
Oh.
It will be.
The only other thing I noted, we've been getting a few phone calls regarding what had passed this past last legislative session, which I believe was LD, I think 290. That would stabilize or kind of freeze property taxes for qualifying individuals and homeowners.
For the over 65, right?
There's a few, that's one of the qualifications. Yeah, there's a few in there. There's a lot of information that we own as a town, we only know what everyone else has seen
Same,
from the
yeah.
news and the media. And so the state hasn't, at least as of this morning anyways, hadn't provided the application yet and kind of the instructions to the towns about how are we supposed to present guess, collect and then present to the state the information? I mean, is there a standardized spreadsheet? Is Trio going to have it in the data, within the municipal software to be able to track this and share this with the state? And the question of, there's a lot of questions about, how it applies if you move. And, it sounds like it could be something you have to apply for every year. And so how does that work? Do you lock in that if you apply first in 2022, is that something is it that tax amount that stays with it forever? And so we have a lot of questions still that we're hoping to get some more guidance on soon, because I think it starts August
8th.
So got a bill
People
out
start
without all the
applying.
information there, so, yeah.
I think the other thing that it sounded like is, the applications are due before, I think before December or
December 2nd, I think it was.
and that if you qualify, it would apply for the tax year 23. So for those towns that have calendar year tax years, it would apply for next tax year. For towns like ours, it would be FY24 that it would apply for. So it wouldn't be, as my understanding is, it wouldn't apply for the tax year that we're about to commit. So that's all we know right now. But I know a lot of folks are asking, and if folks ask you, that's what we have at the moment.
Should we at some point have an open meeting for the public so that they can understand what's going on?
It'd be easier. And then
We could do it at a regular meeting. And I know perhaps utilizing our Facebook page and town website.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe we can just get information out that way, and perhaps using the local media to help.
Yeah, so as soon as we get the details and we get more information on how it's going to be implemented, get it out, multiple media sources, whatever. We can have it as a discussion item or something. Yeah.
The only other thing, I don't think I had it elsewhere, Heater Road, the deed for that has been slightly modified. So we have to get signatures, I think for the last time, from all those that need to sign off on that. There was just a question being raised by the entity that's involved with the Rod and Gun Club about, should, just because the statute's worded in a certain way for abandonment of a road. The concern was if the town ever in the future abandoned it, the statute reads as though the property, abutting property owners then own again to the center line. So for those that, had certain designated right of ways or allowances currently, the concern was that those might not fall back to that. And so they just clarified in the deed that it would revert back to how it is today if the town ever did abandon it. So with that language, that satisfied the last property owners. Now we got to get everyone else's signature again. So
Okay, yeah.
hope I can wrap that up.
Sure, I'll get all the, Sometimes they're seemingly simple processes.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't know. I did, sorry I didn't get it out earlier, but there was questions at the last meeting about the Egypt and Belvedere road project. So one of those maps that you have was just kind of showing the engineer's notes of some of the culverts. That was one of the questions that was being asked. And then printed just the one page of the specs that showed what the asphalt surfaces were, the milling depth for both those roads.
So I guess on that, Andy, I guess if you could follow up with Wilder Hunt on Oyster Creek Road,
Okay.
because he had concerns of the culverts within his area, I think at the end of that driveway.
Okay, they don't have it flagged. do
That
they?
was
Yeah.
for the special town meeting we had to approve the bond. So
Yeah.
If you could give him a call and address his concerns,
Mhm.
and then we could move forward with that.
That's the only thing on Belvedere, right? Was just that.
That was
Oyster
your-
Creek that.
Yeah.
Wilder, yeah.
Yeah.
What do we end up on Egypt Road? We've got over there. It's two,
Yeah.
yeah.
Two.
Okay. Some trimming
Some
and-
shimming.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So how close are we to getting the RFP out then, or other than the?
I think it's just about there, as long as we're feeling confident in what's been highlighted for work. I mean, a lot of what I see in there was the culvert work. So we have to do the culvert work ahead of time. I know the public works crew was doing some brush cutting and clearing on Egypt Road the last few days. And so hopefully that's helping at least with the road area. I know there's still some overhanging trees and brush that we still got to get to that they, with the brush hog, aren't going to get.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's probably a little bit of, I assume some of that will be in here is kind of that grading of the shoulders. I don't know how much that, I gotta just make sure we're clear on how much that we have to do and how much that's within the scope of the work for the bid.
So we're, yeah, because we're currently not including the culverts in the RFP, right?
Right.
All right. So are we looking to do them ourselves then, or have it?
That's my understanding. That's the plan, and presumably we'll be able to do that this fall and
Yeah.
be
ASAP.
set for, let them set for the winter and
Yeah. So this should be, yeah. Priority. Oh, sounds good. All right. That it on your end? Good.
that's all I had.
Okay. We know Isabel's online. Was she planning on coming in on the land use revisions? Is that the?
She had a presentation she wanted to share with some of the items she had identified.
Do we want to do hers now? She doesn't want to hang out for
It's up to you.
the other
She's
motions? We can get
ready
on
and
board.
willing.
Ready
if
to
you
do
want.
it?
Yeah. Let's move on and welcome Isabel.
Thanks for having
We're
me.
moving.
Hopefully you can hear me okay.
We can't hear you.
Is Elf,
We can way better. Yeah.
is LCTV in the room by any chance?
There we
Hi, we
go.
hear you.
We hear you
There-
now.
There we
There you
go.
go.
Perfect. I was saying, is LCTV in the room? Can you help me? So hi, everyone. I know that I haven't gotten a chance to meet some of you yet. I'm Isabel Exley. I'm the new town planner. I do have, to call it a presentation is kind of a big term. I just have an excerpt of the zoning map that I want to show. I just wanted to make you all aware that a property owner, Clayton Gee, and I will put the map up on the screen. And hopefully you can all see that on your end. So Clayton Giggy owns this property here, which has since been split into two properties. And it was just two lots, so no trigger of subdivision law or anything like that. But the issue that he identified, actually, I believe someone from his bank identified, was that our zoning ordinance has a provision within it that if there is a discrepancy between the zoning map and the zoning district description in Appendix A, then the description shall apply. So in this case, when the lot was split, it was renamed by the assessor according to our normal provisions. So it was the second lot was named map 3 lot 32-1. And in our zoning appendix, I'll scroll down a little bit. There is a reference only to lot 32 on map 3. And no reference to the new lot that was created by the assessor. So in this case, the applicant was requesting that we add this brief sentence in red referencing lot 32-1 to that Appendix A of the land use ordinance so that he would be sort of in compliance with the zoning and would allow him to move forward on his home equity line of credit. As part of this, I have identified a couple of other miscellaneous ordinance updates, outdated references to sort of administrative procedures, such as how many hard copies of an application someone needs to submit and things like that. And so while we were going to recommend pursuing this one item, we thought that we might take a chunk of those sort of miscellaneous administrative updates that aren't necessarily a change of policy as we are currently acting, but are technically a change to sort of the administrative procedures as outlined in the ordinance. So we were coming to you all this evening to recommend that we schedule a special town meeting in September on these various items. We're recommending the September timeframe because it would allow the planning board to have their requisite public hearings that are required by state statute, and would allow us as staff to sort of draft the warrants and do the background work leading up to a special town meeting to basically clean up this issue identified by Mr. Gigi, and then also some other miscellaneous procedural changes to the zoning ordinance, specifically reference to hard copies, and you know, if they should reach out to the code officer versus the planner when they're doing applications and things like that. I'm happy to answer any additional questions about this issue specifically, or the miscellaneous ordinance updates that we'd be pursuing. But we're basically here this evening to ask you all to schedule a special town meeting to address these later this fall.
Sounds like a plan. Any questions from the board for Isabel at this time?
Are we going to see the draft of the changes before?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Where would that put us, Andy, on the dates? The first.
I'm not sure. We haven't identified the official meeting date.
We're still gonna do that. So can we make a motion for that now? We don't, yeah, let's just make the motion.
I agree.
I'll make a motion to set the select board meetings the first and third Wednesdays of each month.
Second.
At 5:30. Yeah,
Second.
Lou seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, there we go. Now we can set. We forgot to do that, Isabel, sorry.
Now we can say.
So that would put us,
So the first Wednesday would be the 7th of September, and the third would be the 21st.
So was that gonna get, are we gonna have enough time to do public hearings?
The planner, yeah, so the planner board would meet the first Monday, right, in August? And they'd have their hearing then. And then that would give them a chance to make their recommendation. So that should be enough time if we had the public hearing for the board, consideration for the public to attend a board meeting in a public hearing, that would put it at the 17th of August. And that
This is
would
for the
be,
planning board.
that would be for the select board to
So,
have a public hearing.
so the 21st is the second one in September.
Yeah,
So I guess I'd, just in case something happens, I'd rather have it the 21st. And
Yeah.
so for your next board meeting, we'd be able to potentially have draft warrants, if you wanted to call it that early, or you can wait for the probably that next August meeting. We'll have the draft warrant available for you to sign and call that hearing.
21st it is then.
yes.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
That works. Sound good to Isabel, the 21st?
Sounds good to me. That's unfortunately my birthday, but maybe fortunately.
You never
Well,
think,
have a care.
yeah. I think it might be wise for us to introduce ourselves so you can forget who we are.
Yeah. Thank you. Well,
Well, we've met Tom Anderson.
Lou Abertoni.
Daryl Frazier.
Andrea Kushkarian.
Josh Pinkham.
We'll look forward to meeting you in person at some point, those of us who haven't. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks, Isabel.
Thank you, Isabel.
Thank you.
Anything else? If you're not, you can hang out for a few more minutes if you want, or you can skedaddle out of here. So we won't.
Yeah, nothing from me other than I'm in the office on Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. And if you are around and want to stop by, I'm happy to meet any of you in person.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Right. Good. Let's go clean up some changes and minor stuff on the ordinances and. All right, anyway, we'll go back to official action items. We have an MMA executive committee appointment.
Yeah, it's just one of their annual and in preparation for their big meeting or their big conference. The chance to elect representation to their board. So they have one person proposed, nominated to serve as the vice president, and then three members or three proposed folks to join them on their executive committee. So
we do appoint Andrew Dorr, is that the?
no, the way that they do it is there's the opportunity during the nomination process. So, once it gets to this point, it's kind of the slated, it's kind of either a yes or a no instead of, there's no chance for write-ins.
Gotcha.
I'll make a motion that we have Andy check the boxes on the ballot.
Second,
All right, Tom seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, there we go. Power's in your hands now.
All right.
So- All right, and you've got an update here on the HVAC system, huh?
yeah, it's working well. I like it.
The AC part of it works
AC is
great.
working. Yeah,
For some of the rooms. So there's still some sections of the building that aren't able to receive that. So I think mostly that back corner where Cheryl and my office is. The rest seems to be okay. When it comes to the heating though, there was a portion of a part of the heating system that is cracked. And so it actually ends up emitting some of the off gases into the building.
yeah.
And that was identified last year. So there's no part available to fix it. That's what Midcoast Energy Systems has shared with us. There is the chance to get an exact replacement, but it's a 40-week lead time. We can get a like-sized unit to replace it, and that is something that they have access to in a much shorter period of time, and could have it installed in probably September. They'd bring a crane in and take the old one off and put the new one in. There's some pieces of, and I shared the number that they shared with us. So something you have to think about in terms of the bid policy we have. We would have to also identify, put in a catwalk is my understanding around the unit because it's on a pitched roof to comply with OSHA standards. So when someone does work on it, that's there. And then also someone from the company's coming tomorrow morning to look at the rest of the system. I mean, even, we have issues, I think, with the zoned portions of the facility and how it's set up, and trying to help identify that. So we have staff currently who have space heaters on now. In certain buildings, there's only 2 thermostats for up here. One's in this
Gotcha.
room
Yeah.
and one's in the general office area. So I think there's too much air going into certain spaces and not enough in others. So
Okay.
would like them to at least look at the whole system and not just this unit. 'Cause what was happening, I think there was even space heaters on in the winter time because the heat wasn't able to get combination of probably the insulation, the big windows. It's not getting down to the floor level. And so under the desk, there was typically some space heaters is my understanding.
Yeah. Okay. So they're going to assess that. Yeah, that's a good idea to assess the whole system and
Yeah. See what are we
step back
looking
and
at?
what are we working with? Because we don't want to go into a fairly substantial replacement and then have to add on or come back and do something.
Right.
Better off knowing now and then figuring out what the costs are and how to pay for it.
Mhm.
So you said like unit, is it same capacity, same ratings?
Yeah, my understanding, I think he said it was either a 50 or an 80,000 BTU system. So he'll get a better sense when he looks at how the system was set up and zoned, and help us understand a little bit more about, is it the appropriate size? I mean, he just pulled one out because that's the size we had. We weren't asking the question about the overall system and how it's distributed. So
Yeah.
But by looking at the scope of the project, everything is transferable from our old one to a new one. So all the connections jive.
Mhm.
So we won't have
I
to,
just wonder why that one's available and the other one's 40 weeks, if it's the same
Just-
quality.
it's just the way it is.
Yeah, this.
Who did the
yeah,
original
supplies.
Who makes it?
I can't
Um,
remember.
They got a York system they're
Yeah.
putting in, they're proposing a York. And there's the Lennox system's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, the
Yeah.
HVAC stuff is all over the place with, it's not surprising you can't get replacement parts, at all.
We just don't want to, take a step backward with the wrong.
No, I don't think this
Right.
is a step
Yeah.
backward anyway. So
So good, and then that's if they're looking over the whole system, make sure everything's compatible, and there's no sense in doing it twice, so if they can Yeah, all right. We'll keep, forging ahead and keep us in the loop and nobody building, having to bring coal into work in the winter time. It doesn't look good.
I get plenty of my stock in, so I can
There
spare
you
some.
go. Yeah. All right, and we have one action left here. We have a liquor license renewal.
Yeah, it came in late last week. It's just a renewal,
Yeah.
so it doesn't require a hearing. Just wanted to consider that.
Yeah.
For tonight.
Sure.
I think for River Grill. Yeah.
Yeah, I might go over there and have a drink. So.
Yeah, well, we better motion. All right, I'll move that. I'll make a motion to approve the liquor license renewal
I'll second.
for Damariscotta River Grill. And I think Tom seconded that. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, move that along. Apparently Tom is buying drinks tonight.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, you can drink legally, yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't want to get arrested there. Select board right in the paper. Everyone's gonna.
Yeah, everybody's coming.
Front page.
We just have to be spaced out around.
Right, well, we can't discuss it.
We didn't want to have a legal meeting.
It's caught drinking illegally.
The
Like to keep
speaking,
things light for the folks that are watching from home here. Is that anything sneak in at the tail end here?
I think that's all that I'm remembering.
All right, good enough, good enough. We'll move on to some discussion items. We'll start down here with Tom, if he's got anything to.
Yeah,
Attention.
I don't know the details here, but somebody from away was asking about garbage cans on the street. Apparently it's like only two. I don't know whether they're privately owned. Who takes care of the garbage?
Referring to on,
I think there's one at the bookstore and then there's one in the parking lot. But,
on Main Street.
Yeah.
The garbage cans on Main Street, yeah.
But are they the town's responsibility or are they the private property of those, stores?
We had, well, who was doing the trash service? We
We had
had.
Salt Bay Gabologist, but
Gabologist.
now I think you was hauling the trash a couple,
our staff
two or
did,
three
yeah.
times a week.
Was there an issue with it or complaint?
Not enough. Yeah, not
Not
enough
enough.
garbage cans.
Well, just
Yes.
recycle.
Maybe down the other end of the street.
Oh,
I don't know.
well,
You got a
then,
couple of
yeah.
restaurants down the other
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 3 or 4 restaurants down that way.
take out.
I haven't,
I'm just bringing it up.
yeah, no, that's fine, though, yeah. I haven't seen any issues with like trash overflow or anything. There's cans on the riverfront. There's, well,
Yeah,
at least
oh, yeah,
one, maybe
down
two
there,
down on
yeah.
the park, so
Yeah.
I would say there's sufficient, we do carry out like you do camping.
Exactly.
But, yeah, oh, interesting, okay. Yeah. Cool. Lou?
I have nothing.
That's easy enough, all right.
Yeah.
And Andrea? Yeah, nothing, moving along, Josh?
Sandwich boards on sidewalks for the advertising. It's this happens every year that they kind of creep around and block handicapped access and I keep seeing a few get moved a little bit
Yeah, who
more.
has them now?
They do tend to.
They tend to
walk out.
wander.
Yeah,
And they don't, so if we can just keep an eye on it and I'm trying to watch the violator that is the worst one and see how many times it happens and you might get a phone call from it.
But we're not supposed to have them on the sidewalk, right?
Well, they're not technically,
Oh, they're not forbidden.
they're not forbidden, but we've tried to use the approach that you can have it.
Been
but it's gotta
reasonable,
be
yeah.
so that foot traffic and handicapped accessibility is the priority.
So maybe we can, have just, maybe a reminder or something, yeah.
Does the town typically own right to the buildings or is it kind of like the backside? Is it all kind of all over the place as it goes through there?
Well, we do all the snow,
We should-
snow removal, so.
Yeah, I would assume that.
Oh.
Assuming that the sidewalk is town owned, but I think it's I don't think there's a rule, right, or anything in
Check
the.
with the town planner.
But,
So if they were closer to the curb instead of the buildings and try and maintain a minimum ADA.
right, as long as the ADA compliance
Mhm.
is, available,
They tend to start
If it's
walking out
wide
from the
enough.
building into the center of the sidewalk.
it's gotta be in a
Yeah.
good spot.
So there's a
Right.
lot of times where you see traffic, foot traffic going, stepping off the sidewalk, if you've got 2 people crossing, so, yeah. And that does
You wouldn't think they'd wander, but they do.
They do, they move, wind
Yeah.
blows them around.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So maybe, yeah, we can take a survey of what's where and with a gentle reminder to make sure they're not impeding pedestrian flow, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
I'm good.
Thank you, Josh. That's it. I'm not gonna add anything to, no, I don't have anything to say.
Okay,
You're enough for me.
it's your turn.
We're going back to
I'll
Lou
make a
again.
No,
motion.
he's gonna, the
I'll
motion,
make a motion, we adjourn.
second.
Tom seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? Let's skip over the discussion part. All right, that is.
Evan can make it. He can
Right.
eat supper.
Yeah, I can get there.